All right. What is going on, everybody? This is another Q&A that I wanted to get together and put together. I think I'm gonna call it touchy subjects because I feel like there's some questions that get in here that are a little subject touchy, and I like talking about that kind of stuff. So thank you all who submitted questions. I'm just going to run through, just a bunch of the questions that were submitted, and I'm going to answer them to the best of my abilities or to how my opinion fits said question. And then we'll just kind of go from there. I'm if I don't choke first, I'm drinking my special peach tea, which is a delish. It's like almost 11 o'clock at night, and not really too tired. Had paintball in the brain, so I figured I'd come down and do a little chit chat with myself. But so that's the premise of this podcast, and and to spill my guts on anything, and bring you guys a little, maybe some paintball knowledge or some insight, or even you disagree with me if you like. I would like you to, if you don't think so, comment in once I post these up, comment and let me know how you guys feel about some of these questions, and we can discuss it. We can make things happen. So let's jump into them. These are some of the ones that are on Facebook. Let's see. I am going to, let's see if we can, and okay. So let's start. You know what? I'm gonna start out with the Instagram ones. Let's do those. Let's do those questions. So let's get over to it. All right. First question. Ever going to leave Aftershock to a more funded team, or do you stay in Chicago, I'm guessing, because of traveling less since you had your son? One, I'm not leaving Aftershock. I'm going to stay with Aftershock. Two, I am from Toledo, Ohio, which is about 4 hours east of Chicago. And traveling is, 4 hours sucks, but obviously it's more than some people travel, and it's less than some people travel. So just speaking for myself, traveling has definitely become more of a burden for me because of my son, and wanting to spend more time with him, obviously, and watch him grow up. But no, I won't be leaving Aftershock anytime soon. And I enjoyed here, man. It's I think I've said it before. It's a struggle, but I enjoy. I enjoy the people that are on the team. I enjoy the guys that are on the team, and the atmosphere and the vibe. But no, I'm not going anywhere anytime soon. But thank you for the question. Let's see. This isn't a question, but I think many of us would enjoy a listen to a conversation between you and Simon Stevens on. He has quite a perspective on markers and gear over the past 20 years. The Jack Wood show was awesome. I think more of us older players enjoying hearing and talking about gear a lot too. So yeah, I would I would definitely love to talk to Simon. Unless I had a brain fart, I don't know who Simon Stevens is. But yeah, definitely get him in contact. Have him get a hold of me or something, and I'd love to have him on and chit chat some markers and old gear and all that good shit. So yeah, I'd love to talk to him. I'll talk to anybody. What made you leave paintball in the first place, and what made you come back? So that's a good question. So I started playing paintball in around 2002, started playing professionally in 2004 with Tipman Effect in 7-man. And I left somewhat retired in 2000, at the end of 2009. And the reason I left it is honestly because it wasn't fun anymore. At that point in my career, I was playing with. I ended the season with Infamous, who, I've said this before too. I think highly of Lemansky and that whole program. I was just in a weird place and time in my life, and at that moment, I just didn't see paintball in the future. I feel like I wasn't in it for the right reasons, and when that happens, it really kind of bogs you down. And I feel like my play was being affected by it, and my heart just wasn't in it. And I can't justify going out there and playing if my all isn't in it. If I'm just half-assing it, I feel like that there's no reason for me to go do it anymore. And this sport really means a lot. I don't know if anybody listened to the last podcast, but I get really emotional about this stuff because this was a big chunk of my life, and if I'm not in it 100%, I just can't. I feel like I'm cheating the other guys. I feel like I'm letting my team down before I even walk on the field if my head's not in it, and I'm already doubting myself or what be. But I just wasn't having fun. I had some personal things going on at home, and that I really needed to get in order, and I eventually did. And I slowly, eventually, 2013 rolled around, and I had the opportunity to talk to Bruno and Aftershock, and luckily had a tryout and made the team, and instantly connected with those guys in that group. And I think I think we've had some, man, throughout the years, I feel like one game or even 2 or 3 points swing and change, and we're talking about a totally different team than what happened. But I mean, that's paintball, right? That's life. That's sports. Is you win by an inch, you lose by an inch, and in this particular instance, we just couldn't make it happen when we really needed it to happen. And it is what it is. I mean, it's I don't have any regrets, and I really wish the best for all the guys that I played for and played with. But I mean, that's where it stands. I came back because I got the I got the fire again to want to play. So, and I'm glad that I came back. I think it's been great. Sometimes the mic goes in and out. Why does it do that? 1 minute you are close, and the other you are far away, and then you're super close. I don't know. That's probably I'm using a program. Oh, I'm using GarageBand on here, but then when I do these, but I use this other program called Ecamm, and it records the audio and the video from Skype, and I'm trying to just tweak it and figure it out what works. So, and it could be an internet connection thing. So I've been trying to do more and more, not in my little paintball corner down in the basement. So I'm sorry for the inconvenience of shit audio, but I'm trying, man. He did say LOL, so he's laughing, so that's a good thing. What's one thing your 30-plus-year-old old-ass self would tell your younger self? And who was just starting off in paintball to focus on? And then what not to worry about? So one thing I would tell my younger self would have to be believe in yourself. There were plenty of times where I doubted myself, and I think it really affected my play a lot through the years. A time where I needed to be confident, I second-guessed myself in that clutch moment, or in that, where I needed to be in a certain mindset, I couldn't achieve because I was doubting myself. And I talked to Maddie a lot about this too, when he tells me when I was younger, he says, you've matured a lot, because when you were younger, all you did was you were good, but you just doubted yourself. And Oops, sorry about that. Let's see. Do not disturb. So, yeah. I mean, definitely. It's one thing I would say is just don't doubt yourself, and I would say that to new players out there is don't doubt yourself, because you are the one that you have to convince that you're good. You don't have to prove it to anybody else but yourself, because if you go out there trying to convince everybody else, but you still, in your heart, you still doubt your abilities, and you doubt your mental capacity, your mental state, your mental toughness when you go out there, it's not going to work. And until you convince yourself that you are the better player, you have done everything in your power to be the best player that you can be at that moment, you're doing something that you shouldn't. That should be your number one focus, is just believe in yourself, man. And that's definitely my number one. And then as far as, let's see, I gotta go back to the questions, but man, there's a lot more questions. Ever gonna leave? What's your biggest regret? I must have missed some. Oh, there it goes. What to focus on? Obviously, focus on yourself. Focus on your mental game, because my mental game wasn't there when I was younger. And then what not to worry about. Don't worry about what other people think of you, because it's like I said, just don't. You are playing to convince yourself that you belong there, and if you have any doubt in your mind that the guys around you think that they don't trust you, or that you believe something else, it's gonna bite you in the ass. So don't worry about what other people think. Obviously, do the best you can. Be courteous and just be humble about this whole experience. Be grateful, and which I was, but I could definitely have been more, because I was a young asshole. But yeah, that's that question. How many years seriously do you see yourself playing? How long till you come back? With the knee injuries and everything, I don't know. It's a good question. I'm only 32 years old, but I want to be able to walk when I'm older. I want to be able to play with my son when I'm 50. I still want to be able to wrestle with him and mess around with him. But that's one thing I just with the positions that I play, I'm not the greatest two or back player, or whatever you want to call it. I'm trying to be when called for, but I play front man. I get real close. I like getting real close, and that involves a lot of groundwork. So I don't know how much longer I have, to be honest. I have a lot of things going on in my life. I have a lot of projects that I want to tackle, paintball related and non-paintball related, and that requires time and focus. And I wouldn't say, unfortunately, paintball now takes a lot of, to be the top, you need to put a lot of time and focus, because you should do that anyway. But I just don't have that time and focus anymore. I just have other things going on, and I have seen the sport kind of go up and down and up and down. Obviously not as much as some of the players that are still out there, but I've been playing for a while, and I've had some really good times. So I don't know how much longer I have. We'll see. We will definitely see. And then how long till you come back? Man, I'm back for right now. Well, I'm trying to be. Ever gonna leave Aftershock more fun? I already answered that one question. What do you think the NXL has planned for next season? I don't know. I've heard a lot of rumors, honestly. I've heard that they're going to change formats, that they're going to change time, that they're going to change a few things. I don't want to go belting everything, because I don't know what is true and what is not. This is completely hearsay. I don't know what is going on. I don't know what's happening. But this year, I think is the last year for a few things, and we'll see what happens. I mean, I've heard a ton of rumors, but we'll see. Stay tuned, I guess. What's your biggest regret or missed opportunity from your paintball career, and why? My biggest regret. I don't have very many regrets in paintball. But there was one. There was one, and it's nothing to do. It's not necessarily a regret, but I think it's just a bad decision that I made, and it was when I left Aftershock for X Factor. I enjoyed the time I had with X Factor for sure. Alex runs a remarkably tight ship, but the guys that are on that team are so tight, and the group is so tight knit, and Alex is just a totally stand-up guy. I love Alex, Alex Martinez, but I wasn't at my best during that year, and I think Aftershock had a really great 2014 season, and I think was on the verge of possibly doing something great in 2015. But there were a few things that I considered and took a little bit of time to think about, and it just wasn't. I didn't see it happening maybe as quickly as I wanted it to, and I think I just jumped the gun and just made not necessarily the biggest wrong decision I've made in my career, but it was one I probably should have sat around on it a little bit more and kind of seen what happened. But I would say that would be my biggest opportunity I missed, because I think 2015 Aftershock could have been really good. I think they did. I think they did do really good. I think they had Woodley and Dizon and a few other really good players on the team. I mean, the team is still very, very good. I feel like if I was a part of it, I could have helped, and I missed that. Let's see. Let's do another one. Let's see where we're at. I'm going to try and get through as many as I possibly can. What tips do you have for veteran paintball player, Woodsball scenario, who wants to play speedball? 14 years, almost playing and loving this sport. So I would say if you want to transfer over to speedball is patience. There is a ton of patience involved in Woodsball, but that needs to transfer over to speedball. And gunfighting is completely different and everything. So you almost have to learn your basics again, because I feel like you don't have to be so tight in scenario, but it's so close quarters in speedball that you have to kind of tighten all your basic skills and hone in on those. So that's what that would be my tips on a Woodsball scenario player coming over to speedball, is practice your snap shooting, your accuracy, and all your tight knit stuff. How do you travel domestically and internationally with paintball gear? In a gear bag, but I have specific spots for each and every little tiny thing that I put in my gear bag. Everything goes in a certain way, and like my cleats go on the very bottom, and then my pants go next to that, and then I pile all my clothes up in the middle. My mask goes in the top left corner, my loader in the top right corner, my pack goes over top of all that. But it's even like in sequence on what goes on top of what and everything. I'm a weirdo. But yeah, so there's a few other tricks too when you're degassing your tank or anything like that. So just keep an eye out. A lot of pros do it. I'm sure a lot of people know, but and two, if don't lock tight your threads on your tank, just tighten them by hand, and if you have trouble, just wrap some cloth, if you have trouble getting the reg off, just wrap some cloth around it and just tap it on something and it should come loose. Make sure there's no air in it too, by the way, disclaimer. Ay, ay, ay. Secrets to wiping. Don't get caught would be my first. All the best cheaters in the game, the pros know who they are, but the refs want to say they know who they are, but they don't. And the people watching, or the divisional players or the spectators, want to think they know, but they don't know. Yeah, a lot of those players usually don't get caught. The really good ones, they don't get caught. I've only cheated a few times in matches that I got away with, but other times you kind of know, man. It's like you have to think of it as, I'm not condoning cheating, by the way, everyone. I'm not condoning cheating, but I'm just saying you have to think about, you have to, like, when, at least this is how I think about it, is when you get shot, depending on where it is and how you slide or how you move your body, and this is all, it's a part of the game. It's part of paintball. Everybody does it. Believe me, it happens. But you have to think about where the refs are and what their angle is on you. So, I mean, I've seen guys wipe mid-run. I've seen them hip slide it off quick. I've seen them switch sides and drag a loader across the bunker or something like that. So I've seen a lot of people cheating and get away with it. So, like I said, I don't condone it, but it's not going to stop people from cheating. I mean, you can have the biggest penalties in the world if you get caught cheating, but the thing is the good guys are going to get away with it. Would they be bad guys then? The good guys at cheating would get away with it still. Let's see. Man, a lot of questions. Top 3 drills. Best drills for getting better. Weak hand. For that one, I would say just play a weekend with your left hand only. Just play the left side of the field. Every time you go out on the field, if it's going to be a dominant side, go left-handed. Just go left-handed, and because that's the only way you're going to be able to do it is repetition. Repetition with the left hand, you're going to get more and more comfortable with it. Is owning a paintball field lucrative? Well, I mean, there's a lot of fields doing really, really well right now, and I know a lot of guys that are possibly getting into it. I was thinking about it, but we'll see. Any news on the new PE marker? I didn't know anything about it. I'm really not in the know too much on a lot of the new things coming out until they come out and everybody else knows about it. Why is Sunday Paintball Day? I don't know. I mean, it's a good question. You know, I think it's that day just right before the week where everybody just kind of is on that, you know, that worker mindset maybe already, and just get down and grind. And I don't know why it's always been, you know, Sunday. It's a good question. Explain what you like about the LV series as opposed to others, and when do we get playing on tees with real artwork? Oh, that's a good question. Well, I don't know. I'm still trying to get some designs together, but we'll have some soon. But as far as the LV series goes, I just like the shot, man. Honestly, I mean, that's what it comes down to from anything, is just what you like shooting, what feels best. Like, I feel like the LV series is the best shooting marker that I've shot, and it just shoots really good, and it continually shoots really good, and I don't see a reason to really change it or shoot something else. I think it's a super soft, like buttery shot, and placement's great. I like the way it feels, and it just does. It's a great marker. I mean, I think the biggest market is for like the more of the closed bolt style, the Geos and Luxes and all that stuff. But I think the Poppet style is tits. I just enjoy it, man. It just works for me. Your top 3 currently playing. I would say, everybody's talking about Alex Goldman. So I mean, but he's playing really well. He always has really decent seasons anyway. I think that, let's see, who else, man. What's the kid's name from the Russians? Tall, skinny, goofy kid. I don't know. The Russians are doing well, and J-Rab always has some good seasons. It's a good question. I don't know. There's so many good players out there. Will Pro ever unionize? If so, what would need to be done for a CBA? I don't know if it'll ever unionize. I mean, I think the teams, the pro teams and the pro players need to get together and do something to cover themselves. I mean, the players for sure. I'm sure the teams are covered. I mean, it's not like the owners of the teams are hurting at all or anything. I feel like the players are the ones that are the most vulnerable to what happens, and have the least amount of say as far as the way things go. But I don't know if it'll ever happen. We'll have to see, though. Besides having pros and influential people in your life and in paintball in general, would you have any divisional players on your podcast? Yeah, I would. I'm just trying to build up my base. I'm trying to build up my foundation. The podcast is still really, really new, so I'm just trying to get listeners on board, trying to get everybody kind of like get my flow of how I want to do things and my direction. And I think as soon as I feel like I'm in a comfortable spot, I'll start doing some divisional players for sure. Getting to know some backgrounds of some guys beforehand for sure. But yeah, of course I would have divisional players on. Absolutely. Australian paintball is having a lot of drama right now with rule changing and continuously having bad paint supplied. I'd like to hear your thoughts on making a worldwide unified set of rules for all NXL events and your experience with different options of paint, as we only have GI and HK. That's crazy, you guys only have GI and HK. You guys don't have any other paint over there? That's nuts. For the entire continent, just 2 manufacturers? I think as far as the NXL goes, obviously, I think it should be rules across the board. I don't understand why they're doing limited paint over there but not over here, and why you wouldn't unify everything. I mean, I'm not a big decision maker in this whole thing, but I mean that only makes sense to me. And if what is it gonna hurt if we're also trying a limited paint thing, or even if the pros are doing it? What does it matter? If anything, we're trying things out. But why have the overseas to? I mean, I don't know. But I would have to agree that there should be unified rules for the whole across the board, and there should definitely be some more manufacturers rather than GI. I mean, the option is great, so I would hope you guys would have, or at least get more than GI and HK. Could you cover tips for newer players who want to join teams and what they should focus on? Focus on getting better. That's one thing. And I'm not saying that condescendingly. I'm saying that as in, don't be so worried. Like I said, I've said this before too. Like, don't be so worried on what you think other people think about you. Go out there and know what you have to work on. You are the one. Unless you're so naive that you don't know, if you've been getting shot on your left-handed side a bunch, you need to work on that side. If you get told multiple times that you don't communicate enough, you know that you need to work on that. So it's working on all of those small things and taking care of those things. So it's working on detail and fine-tuning all of the skills needed to get better. And as far as joining teams, play with confidence, because other players love confidence. They're not necessarily the biggest fans of cockiness or arrogance. So play with confidence and be a good teammate. Be coachable. Because if you're not coachable and you're an asshole and nobody likes you, you're going to have a tough go at it. Unless you're super good and nobody gives a shit. But, I mean, I think that sucks. But there's always going to be the one or more. But, you know, just be a good teammate. Be a good teammate and be the best you can be in paintball and as a paintball player. Just be the best version of you that you can. How do professional paintball players make a living? Do they get paid or do they have other jobs? A lot, though, I would say the 99% have other jobs. Very, very few get paid, and that's all through the team owners. Depends on who you're with. You know, some of the players throughout the league get incentives on being on teams, but others don't. So a lot of have 9-to-5 jobs or whatever hour jobs that you guys, you know, that jobs are out there. People are doing them. Professional players are doing it. We have not come to the point yet in paintball where it is even across the board, where everybody has a budget and players get paid to focus on paintball and only paintball. We still have guys that are going home and working and then having to come to do this hobby, this glorified hobby. So, I mean, hopefully one day soon I'm fighting for it. I'm trying to figure out a way to get players who put so much time, effort, blood, and sweat and tears into this thing to to have it work out, and that's what I'm hoping for. In honor of the Iron City Classic, what is your favorite mechanical marker and why? I will tell you right now, and this is not an ad. This is not some kind of, hey, you should go out and try it, which you should anyway, but my favorite mechanical marker is the mechanical single trigger hinge trigger Etha mechanical from Planet Eclipse. Hands down, I like it better than the GMech. I like it better than any autococker out there, just because it is low maintenance, and I like tinkering with shit, but it is low maintenance, and it shoots amazing. It's awesome. I can't believe it's considered a rental marker. It's insane. I would have to say the mechanical Etha for sure. Next question: is it possible for players who don't live in an area with a pro field or team to go pro? Yeah, absolutely. You just have to put yourself out there. You have to figure out a way. If you want to do it bad enough, if you want to have your dream come true, if it is playing pro and playing for a pro team, you move, you travel, you decide what to be and go be it, kind of a thing. Avett Brothers. But you got to go do it. You got to travel. You got to be where the action is to get noticed. You got to show up. So if you don't do that, it's going to be tough. So you have to put it on your own shoulders and get out and go do. For sure. When will I be featured on an episode of the Playing On podcast? That is Pneumatic Octopus. Whenever, man. Let's do it. Let's go. Let's do it. Oh, hey, Kat. Who's the most fit chick in paintball? Wink. Dude, I have to say, dude, Kat, you've been killing it, man. Like, literally, you could kill me. But it's insane. You can tell the amount of hard work and where your mind is with lifting and body sculpture and everything. I mean, you're doing an amazing job. Keep it up, man. You're an inspiration for not only paintball players, but I'm sure young women all over the place. You're doing a great job. Keep it up, kid. Is playing more important than competing? What really drives paintball? I think playing. I mean, you have to play before you compete, right? So playing paintball or doing anything as far as practice goes or repetitions go, I mean, I think I think it's important. I think competing is a stage that you get to, or a mindset that you get to, where you want to showcase your skills. And I don't think it's just something where you kind of just show up and you're there. I think it's definitely I think it's a way that you have to go about yourself, and a test. If you want to test yourself, I mean, you are the best judge of yourself on how you feel, how you go about things, your skill level, everything. And if you don't build that, and you just go try and rush everything and go straight to competing, you're gonna be taught a lesson very, very quickly. So I would say playing. Just get out there and play. Get in situations that you're gonna be in. I mean, paintball is all about situations, and if you know how to make a decision in a certain situation, more times than not, you're gonna come out on top. So I would definitely have to say playing. So thank you for that question. Let's see. LVL versus CS2. It sounds like you're asking me if a loader is better than a CS2. But or I could be wrong. I don't know. I say the LV1 is what I'm gonna say. The LV1. I mean, people are gonna argue with me. But I'm telling you, man, CS2s they're awesome. They look great, but an LV1 shoots nasty. But I mean, don't believe me or do. It's up to you. But they shoot really good. Please do an interview with a Baltimore Revel player. I could do that. I could do that for sure. Shoot me some suggestions. I would love to do one. I'm still, I need to make my round of one, at least a player already this year from each pro team is eventually what I'm getting to, or what I'd like to get to. All right. How do you prepare yourself mentally before a game? Well, I just kind of realize, the job at hand, and I don't necessarily think about what I need to do. I just kind of sit and appreciate the moment. I don't pray or anything like that, but I just kind of become aware of the moment and the task at hand, and I just tell myself that, you deserve to be here, and be humble and grateful that you're here, and just go show them what's up. Just play my game. So that's kind of how I get in my mindset. Sometimes I listen to music, but most of the time I'll just kind of be in a corner by myself, just sitting quietly. I know it's not very exciting, but that's what I do. What tips do you have to keep motivated between tournaments? Talk about paintball. Maybe pick up your marker every once in a while, if you can, like during the week. Maybe shoot in the backyard, do some drills, do some snap shooting in the mirror. Watch paintball for sure, and that probably I'm guessing would be my biggest in between events for sure. What's your favorite method of on-field communication? A quick shout, a wink, a bird dog. See, Bruno and I were just talking about this, and I think a good 2 shouts of what you're calling should be good enough for your teammates to hear and relay across field. I think that's the best one. I think if you start trying to take yourself out of the game by yelling too much and making sure every single person on the field hears you, I think that's kind of when you get distracted. But I would say, just a quick 2 shouts. I think it's just about right. Are you going to be healthy for Chicago? I'll be playing and hoping to see you there. Yes, I will be in Chicago as of right now. I will be there. I just had practice last weekend, and the knees are doing pretty good. They're still a little sore, but they're doing pretty good. I don't have any complaints at the moment. So so far so good. Knock on wood. Let's see. What keeps you grinding in such a difficult sport? I mean, right now it's the love of the sport for sure. I think it's in a very fragile place, and I just want to be a part of this whole kind of thing movement that's going on, and I just want to play against the best right now while I still can. So that's definitely keep me going. Why are there not more people getting bunkered in old videos? All I see is overshooting and bunkering. So this is a good question that I thought about too, because you don't really see too much of that action like you used to. I think people, like I said, I think I said in the last podcast, was this now is the time of when nobody wants to make a mistake. You know, back then I feel like everybody was trying things. Everybody was trying to create things. Paintball players are a lot more, what do I want to say? What's the word? Where they not unified. Why unified? No, they're better thinking. They're disciplined. I feel like they're a lot more disciplined now. So, I mean, I think that's the biggest difference, and I just think that the game has just changed. A lot of people shoot their guns now, and that's all they do because they can, and I think it's just slowing the game down, and I don't like it. I don't like to talk about it. That's a good question, though. Thoughts on the term AG and VSB? Maybe I'm just an old dude, but I don't know what VSB means. Vertical split backpack. I don't know. I have no idea. But AG, not the big fan of AG. I don't even know how it came about. I think I do, but I don't even like talking about it. I don't like really saying it. I think it's kind of goofy, but I don't know. It is what it is. Do you think people base their opinions on markers to buy too much off of others' reviews? I mean, I look at reviews sometimes on things. Not paintball stuff, but I look to see what other people are thinking, just kind of get a good idea. But you really do not know until you try it yourself. I mean, that's why you can do returns, right? Because you can. It may look like the best thing in the world, but you get it and you have it in your hand and you play with it and you realize that you don't really like it, and after 5 minutes it's already in the box and ready to go back. So it really has to be kind of one of those things where maybe it's tough too, because if you like, well, I shot my buddy's drone, or I shot my buddy's whatever, and I shot my buddy's LV and it shot like shit, so those things suck. So I'm gonna get this or whatever. But maybe your buddy just sucks at keeping his marker clean and working right. But I don't know. I don't know if you can return new paintball markers. Like, can you test run them? I don't know. That'd be like a paintball field owner's question. Maybe Al Skorenic. I don't think they do though. But yeah, I think some do. I mean, just regardless, and then maybe they keep them just because they think it's cool or whatever. But I think you should just try it yourself. Thoughts on the ICC and 10-man resurgence in general, and do you think we'll see the return of a Pro-Am? I don't think so, the Pro-Am. But as far as 10-man, the ICC goes, I think it's the best opportunity for older players or just a different take on paintball nowadays. I mean, of today's generation, they didn't really get to play the that kind of style back then, and a lot of the pros have, and they love it. I mean, I love playing it. Unfortunately, I can't be there this weekend, but which reminds me, I gotta set my marker out for. Yeah, that reminded me. But anyway, I think it's great. I think Tim and everybody who has anything to do with it, I think they do a great job. I think it's good for paintball. Paintball anywhere in general is good for paintball. So yeah, but I don't think there's going to be another Pro-Am resurgence anytime soon. Will we ever see an inverse mirrored field? Anything's possible, man. You never know. We'll see. What helps mid-game scenarios to break points open or a 4-on-4 situation? I think it's finding the seam. I'm not necessarily saying run down the field, but it's finding the weak spot. And this goes down to knowing the field and field awareness. You hear a lot of pros talking about this, and I think field awareness becomes huge, because if you can make a move where you're tree walking somebody or You know where this guy, if he's shooting a certain way, where his loader could be peeking out from, and you know where everybody else is and where they're shooting. Dude, it's finding the seam. It depends on what your job is, I guess. I mean, I'm usually the seam cutter, so I have to be the one to find the seam, but I would say what helps mid-game scenarios would be just maybe practicing that 4-on-4 situations too. Same thing. Just practice that situation, and if you're the player that needs to be the one to find it, and rather than be the one who just sits and just kind of holds down the anchor, the fort, if you're the one who has to cut the seam, just play 4-on-4s, play 3-on-3s, play a lot of maybe 3-on-4s and stuff like that to finish out games, and the 4 side have that guy or 2 to really cut the seam and break open the game. CS2 or Lux Ice? CS2. Do you think the NXL will have to adopt a smaller format like 3-man before it can get a TV contract? I don't know, man. I don't know what's going to work. I mean, they tried 3-man before. They tried 7-man. They've tried the X-Ball style with the Smart Parts thing. And I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a TV contract. I think it's going to be an internet contract. I think it's going to be an Amazon or a Netflix or some kind of streaming service contract, not necessarily a TV contract. But we have to make it the best version of whatever it is. That's for sure. Because if we don't, we're selling ourselves short, and other people are going to profit from it. And it's not going to be the best version of paintball, and it's only going to go so far. But what I want to happen is for there to be this thing that people can't deny, that could be paintball, and we just keep growing and growing and growing, and we have other sponsors and investors or whatever you want to call it come out of the woodwork and really want to be a part of it. But on our end, we have to be open to it, and that's the number one thing, man, is if the guys or people who are running the industry or the league or whatever, if they're not open to allowing those certain entities in, then we're gonna be in the same position we've been in for a while. So that's what I think about that. What is your favorite part or aspect of paintball? I enjoy getting really close to people. I enjoy having 4 or 5 guys on the other side of the field and getting as far down the field as possible and just slowly plinking people off with 1 or 2 shots. I enjoy shooting my marker, but I like having and knowing that shooting like a couple balls and knowing that I put those first 2 out there and they both hit, and gunfighting. I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, but I like getting far down the field and getting really close to people, making them feel antsy, and obviously bunkering them. So that always helps. What do you think of M500 or limiting paint in an event? Would movement increase? I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of people thought that the 2 pods was a little too small. I think M4 pod and a loader is the best scenario. I think if we start having people shoot semi-auto again, I think it's still a possibility. I mean, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh my god, we just keep it at ramping, this and that. And I'm just telling you what I believe, man. I think semi-auto capped will change the game. I think taking it down to 4 pods and a loader will change the game. I think taking a few bunkers off the field will change the game. And we don't know until we try. And if we don't try, then we'll never know. So that's what I think about that. Bore or over bore? I'm assuming you're talking about sizing paint. At least I hope you're talking about sizing paint. I like it a little snug. Because if it's a little snug, I feel like you want to, when you blow through it, you want it to thump, 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 rather than just fall through, because you're going to have a lot of air escape around that ball. But if you have it tight, there's going to be a lot more compression behind the ball, and I feel like the ball shoots and is a lot more stable. That could be a complete lie. I have no idea, but that's what I think. Do you ever do an? Did you ever do an episode with Hinman? No, but I would really like to. I think I've asked him before, but I had some things come up, so I would love to have him on the show. Hopefully in the very near future. Could you cover tips for players who are looking to join teams? Oh, I think I already asked. Yeah, I already did that question. But that's it for the Facebook questions, or the Instagram questions. Let's go to Facebook and see what we have here. Right. How would you feel about competitive paintball ditching the tournament format and go to full-fledged games like other sports at the pro level? Do you think that franchises could benefit from this type of move, i.e. ticket and concession sales for the home fields? What would it take to get competitive paintball there, if so? That's a good question. I don't know how we would do it. I feel like paintball, if it were any longer now, would be boring to some other people. I mean, obviously we would think it's still somewhat interesting, but I hear a lot of people nowadays with the format that we have and what is going on that paintball has been very dull. So at least competitive paintball has been very dull, which sucks because we need some action out there. But I don't know. I mean, it would all depend. I mean, would full-fledged games, are we going back to the two halves of the NXL? I think that was pretty exciting. But that was also back when there was everybody shooting fast and there was a lot of paint in the air. There were less bunkers in the field, and I thought that was awesome back then. So I don't know. We'll see. I just don't know. It's hard. I don't know what it's going to take. I think it's going to take us really relying on ourselves and allowing, other entities come in with money to see exactly what we can do. Maybe, I don't know, man. Something needs to happen. Something needs to change. Pro only league, like every successful pro sport has. I mean, this is a reply to that comment. Yeah, so I mean, let's see what they said. Okay, so pro only league, like every other successful pro sport has, it would make it so much easier for a fan base to follow their team rather than watch 5 weekends a year split up with 19 other teams. It would allow the franchise to be marketable and drive revenue to that franchise where they wouldn't be as big of a money pit even if they didn't win much. More growth potential for the sport as a whole than there is now. And then there's a reply of, I've been saying this forever. The biggest problem right now is finding the money for the league. Nobody has marketed the league properly in order to drive in the right sponsors. My long shot idea was having Browning outdoor gear create a tournament marker and dive into the paper. I mean, I was wondering if anybody else was going to do that. Another big issue is the fact that parents see these are guns. See, I think a lot of people don't think that that's a big deal. I think it definitely is a big deal. If we're trying to get new players on, for sure, I think it's a big deal. No matter what our intentions are, but it's a trigger word, and that's kind of a play on words, but it's a trigger word. But the proper PR put into the sport, it can be portrayed as one of the most intense and team-formatted events in sports. Hopefully one day the sport reaches the next level and makes it over the hurdles it's been facing since day one. Yeah, and everyone agrees. So yeah, that's what I would say. Can you make an argument for what? Whole new question. So can you make an argument for why in God's name promoters waste their money on using the APPA when there are many easy to use schedule systems as well as means of collecting entry fees? Not to mention, it would then not assign fictitious points that ultimately rank player out of the ability to play local events and actually help the sport thrive. Just wondering your thoughts. I mean, I think there should be more than just one system. I really, really do. I mean, if there's one system, what makes them say that they're right or the most efficient? They're the only one. So if you're not being questioned or about anything, and you're just the only one, you are the headmaster. You don't know you're making mistakes, or you don't know if anything could be better, unless you're hopefully trying to continually get better. That's what you have, employees for, and people who work for you. They find things of how they can work better and more efficient, and you don't take offense to it. You just kind of get better with them. People quit because their team dies. Let's see. Word on the street is you're bringing back Tip in Effect with Steve Farkas as the head of the Spear. I don't know where you heard that, but no. Right. Ooh, okay, yeah. Well, with the rise of the CPPS and its huge player support in the UK, and the complete apathy shown towards the NXL Basildon event, hopefully I said that right, by the UK players. A, why do you think that is? And B, is that the end of an NXL event held in the UK? I don't know, but I mean, it's really, it really comes down to the players. You're paying for it with your dollar, so you're voting for a yes for anything whenever you buy something or you purchase something. I don't know why that is. I don't really know the CPPS too much. I've never been overseas and played in any of those events, in Europe anyway. But I mean, if they might hold a better event, I don't know. I mean, there might be things that go on with that people enjoy over the NXL, and I hope for paintball it's not the last event held in the UK, but we'll see. Why is the Lux Ice the best marker in the world? Questionable, for sure. Which Aftershock player, old school or newer, did you or do you admire or look up to? I really enjoyed watching Alex Martinez when he played for Aftershock. I know he's not like one of the core members or anything, but I was kind of coming onto the scene when he was playing for Aftershock. I think Cuba was too. But that whole group of guys, I watched on Aftershock. I really watching Todd play. I think he played a lot like I did, or I do. I think Todd used to play like that. I used to play like Todd, but yeah, Bruno, I'm not answering your question. When are you going to go international for a podcast chat? I am always down. I would just need to sell a kidney to get over there. Shit's expensive. How does the tape wrap support your middle finger work? Oh, you're talking about the tape on my hand. Oh, okay. So no, the tape on my hand, actually, I initially I did that when I had slid on a stake, on a paintball stake that was pretty much broke off and was just sticking out of the ground, and I went to go put my hand down when I'm sliding, and it just sliced me from about the webbing of my thumb down to the middle of my palm. And I didn't get stitches. I used super glue, and I just taped the shit out of it. And then ever since then, I just kind of kept doing it because I liked it. I don't know. It was kind of weird, but it doesn't do anything for my fingers at all. Question: when will Joe Allen be on? Let's go, Joe. Whenever, bud. Are you watching the Iron City Classic this weekend? I'm sure I will tune in. Who was your idol growing up in paintball? I was a big Dynasty fan. I liked GZ. That Trauma was pretty cool. I watched Aftershock a little bit, but I would have to say I was a Dynasty kid, man. I enjoyed. They were young. I was young, and just it was cool to see them. They were hot shit, man. Hot. Why do they call you Microwave? I'm sure it's been asked before. So Microwave was the name I gave myself, and I know that's stupid, but I was just joking around, and and it was always I told everybody the reason I mean call the microwave is I heat things up, so I heat things up on the field, so so does a microwave and an oven, I guess, and a lot of other things. But it was a stupid nickname, and for some reason it just kind of stuck. But I even had it put on my Tip and Effect jersey, which is kind of funny. But yeah, that's why they call me the microwave. Why hasn't there been a dedicated pro circuit? Can paintball support one? I think paintball can definitely support one. I think a all pro circuit would be awesome. Just completely separate from divisional tournaments or anything. I think an all pro circuit would be cool. I think it would put pros back kind of on this not necessarily rock star status, but I mean, think about it, like, you know, pros are who they are, and so elusive is because you don't see them very much unless, you know, on their social media. But, you know, you go to the games and they're just practicing on the field. You don't get to actually talk to any of them or anything like that. Like at paintball tournaments, you get to do that. So it's not an everyday thing where you just see, you know, whoever walking, you know, pro player or whatever walking through, or you do see a lot of pro players walking through the events and everything, and you can talk to them, chat them up, or whatever. But I think it would be a lot more cool to do that at an all-pro event where all you did was go there and watch pro games, and there were special meet and greets and all this other shit. I think that'd be pretty cool. If you could bring one event back from any time paintball, what event would it be? Huntington Beach, for sure. Huntington Beach or World Cup at Disney was pretty cool, but Huntington Beach was it was awesome. I know you're a fan of M500 style. What do you think about, instead of M500 style, of having a paint cap per game? I don't know. I mean, that might, I don't know. That's not a bad idea, too. But I think just on the field in general, I think that I think in general, it's just, I think everybody should be, you know, limited out there, just to kind of put another, you know, I don't know. I just think they should be capped. This would allow you to be strategic with your paint consumption as a team. I also think that this idea could lead to a good mechanical gun being better than a gun that can shoot ropes. If the paint cap is at the right spot, where sitting in lanes might be the best use of the paint. It could also open up the door for not allowing a restriction on gun, knowing that if you blow your load early, that could be devastating. That's a good point. That's actually a good point. But it would have to be regulated for sure. And would it be? I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know. Everybody's super honest in paintball. Do you miss the penalty box? I think it was interesting. I think what we're doing now could change a little bit. I think we would have to go about it a different way. I think just, you know, coming out of the box and getting blown to pieces, even though you have zero chance. I think there should be something needs to, you know, some brains need to go about it a little bit more to see exactly how we could go about it differently. Should the NXL bring back the All-Star game once a year like we had back in 2006-2007 season? I think it would be cool. I think it'd be neat, but I don't think we have the time. And unless they're going to cut down on teams or something, I just don't think, or they're going to do it on Thursday or some shit. If anything, they should just do it on Thursday. That's my guess. But I just don't think there's time for it. And only the NXL is going to be able to make time. You're pretty violent with your body when you compete. You promote the carbon base layer products. Are they built-in padding? Is the built-in padding enough for the punishment that your body sustains, or do you still need to wear additional knee and elbow pads? No, I wear only the carbon stuff. That's it. And it holds up. I mean, every once in a while I'll get a little tear because of just sliding and using them for. I have 2 holes in my top right now. I have 0 holes on my knees, and these are ones I've been using for 2 years. So they've been working really, really well for me. I'm very impressed. If you were to ever consider joining another franchise, who would it be? Who would you be interested in? Aftershock is still the best. I think Impact would obviously be a cool adventure. So would any of the teams with a lot of money. I think would be a cool adventure because you would really be able to feel like what it's like to be like a professional athlete and not having to focus on so many other different things besides just being a good athlete and teammate and player and experiencing a bunch of like, I don't know, like you almost feel like you made it kind of a thing. I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with any of the other teams out there, but all those other guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, you guys know what I'm talking about. And I think it would just be a cool experience. And I feel like any of the guys who come up and play pro should experience that. Because you sacrifice so much. I mean, I think you should feel some kind of accomplishment, not just be like I made it to pro, but have it be like it means something. Who would I be interested in another franchise? Well, yeah, I kind of answered that. Kind of sort of question. How do you feel? I guess I'm just gonna answer every single question. How do you feel today's players compare to older players? Example, myself. I started playing back in 1980, 98, 99. My first speedball field was Toledo Indoor. If you were to take some of the local teams from back then and paired them with local teams now, who would win? I think it was just a different mindset back then. I mean, obviously, I don't think they had certain skills then that today the lessons are learned now, and I think they would just have the upper hand of now. But as far as like who would win for a bunch of local teams, I would have to say the teams now. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, that looks like all the questions. Well, I like doing these. I would like to do something like this with Schulte and Cody for sure, and do another maybe Halloween chorizo podcast. But yeah, I kind of like doing these every once in a while in between guests, just kind of get some content out there, and kind of maybe give my opinion on things. Whoever wants to listen to it, and it's good. It's good to sit down and kind of chat, and I get the wheels going in my brain, and and I enjoy all the questions. But it's about that time. I think I'm gonna hit it, guys. Thank you so much for joining. Well, thank you for submitting the questions and the comments, and I think I'm gonna start. I should probably start and figure out how to do these live. That would be pretty interesting. But anyway, just talking to myself. Thank you guys. Be excellent to each other. Hopefully some of you guys got that one, know where that came from. But I love you all. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time here on the Playing On Podcast. Later.